Hello everyone. The film Scarface, released in 1983, immediately sank in cinemas and at the box office. And the director of the film, Brian De Palma, received a nomination for a Golden Raspberry as the worst director. The film was accused of excessive violence, incorrect presentation of Cubans and, of course, terrible production. The only one who was praised was Al Pacino, although everyone said that the film was disgusting and the actors in it were also disgusting. But not everyone can play such disgusting scumbags. And for this you need to have talent. However, as it often happens, after a while it turned out that not everything is so simple. And the film little by little began to acquire a cult status. Bad reviews from famous film critics changed dramatically for the better. And those critics who had not yet managed to criticize the film at the time generally said that it was just a masterpiece and not a movie. But as always, there were exceptions. For example, one of the most famous American film critics, Roger Ebert, without waiting for the opinion of other critics, praised the film immediately after its release. Also, director Martin Scorsese gave a good rating to the film and was delighted after watching it. However, before the premiere of the film, he warned Al Pacino and Brian De Palma that tomorrow after the premiere they would most likely simply be killed. But he emphasized that he would undoubtedly remember them along with their film forever. And this is the most important thing. Well, you are on the Homeki channel, and today I would like to talk about the difficult history of the creation of the film Scarface. If the film production had been perfect, then we would have gotten a completely different movie than we know now. The film was supposed to be shot by Sidney Lumet, responsible for such films as Serpico and Network. It was him that Al Pacino and producer Martin Bregman were trying to drag into the project they were working on. Their trio had just shot the films Serpico and Dog Day Afternoon together. The films showed themselves well in the box office, and they worked well together. But on the project of the film Scarface, something immediately went wrong. Director Sidney Lumet wanted to make more of a political film than an action movie. And the main focus of the film was to make accusations against the leadership of the USA, which allowed rampant crime and flooded the country with drugs. Al Pacino also loved to be the center of attention, and the idea of Sidney Lumet in the film did not cause any indignation in him. But producer Martin Bregman criticized this idea because he thought that political cinema would not be of much interest to the masses, and that the main focus of the film should be on the bandits. Having failed to reach an agreement with Sidney Lumet, Martin Bregman quickly threw him out of the project and quickly replaced him with director Brian De Palma, famous in those years for the film Carrie. The film's script was written by Oliver Stone, the future director of the films Platoon and Wall Street. Oliver Stone started working under Sidney Lumet, who was always unhappy with the script of the film. But after his dismissal, Oliver Stone breathed a sigh of relief and showed his full potential. At that time, Oliver Stone was known as the screenwriter of the film Midnight Express, the plot of which was also connected with drugs. And as a result, the film collected a lot of money at the box office, and Oliver Stone received a Golden Globe and an Oscar for it. Oliver Stone has always been a curious person, and in those days he often took illegal drugs. Later in his interviews he said that life was better then, but times were harsh. And every morning he began with the fact that he bought something illegal, and immediately tested it on himself. Sometimes there was so much illegal in him that he could lie under a bench in the park all night, pretending to be dead. However, when he received an offer to write the script for the film Scarface, he pulled himself together and went to Europe to minimize his connections with the bad people who supplied him with drugs. So when he wrote the script, he also relied on his knowledge. But that doesn't mean he wrote the script under the influence of drugs. Regarding the cast of the film, Al Pacino is not the only one who got the role almost immediately. Steven Bauer, who played Manny in the film, got his role simply by coming to the audition. When casting director Alex Groding saw him, he immediately showed the actor to the film's director Brian De Palma and producer Martin Bregman. He told them that Steven Bauer was perfect for the role. The director and producer agreed, and the actor got his role without an audition. As a result, he turned out to be the only Cuban in the film. Well, at about this time, John Travolta started crying. According to many rumors, he called the film's producer Martin Bregman from all the phones to get the role of Manny. Brian De Palma, who had previously shot the film Blowout with John Travolta, was not at all against his participation in the film. But the producer's voice was the deciding factor, and if the film Blowout had not failed at the box office, then perhaps John Travolta would have been cast as Manny. However, on the other hand, if the film Blowout had become a box office hit, John Travolta might have lost interest in the film Scarface, an impressive, but still supporting role. The biggest problem before filming the film was choosing an actress for the female role. Al Pacino and Brian De Palma wanted anyone except the incomprehensible Michelle Pfeiffer. Among the contenders for the role, even the name of Sigourney Weaver comes up, for whom Al Pacino and Brian De Palma were reaching out, in the hope that they would be able to convince producer Martin Bregman to change his mind. The main candidate around whom the battles unfolded was Glenn Close. The actress was also not very famous, but everyone liked her at the auditions. Everyone except Martin Bregman. He told Al Pacino and Brian De Palma that they were undoubtedly talented guys, but he understands the selection of actors much better than they do, what they can notice in their examples. And here Martin Bregman pulls Michelle Pfeiffer out of nowhere. A few years before that, she appeared in the Miss California Beauty Contest, and she starred in absolutely stupid and useless films, like Charlie Chan and The Curse of the Dragon Queen. Later, everyone will say how wrong they were, and how good Michelle Pfeiffer looked on camera, despite the fact that during the filming of the movie, she accidentally cut Al Pacino's face. Most of the filming took place in Los Angeles, which was made up to look like Miami. Initially, the filming of the film was supposed to take place in Miami. However, bad people found out what kind of movie they were going to shoot. They said that such a display of Cubans in the film is unacceptable, and as soon as they start shooting such a movie in Miami, the entire Cuban diaspora will come to the set, and will not let them work normally. And if they manage to catch Al Pacino, he will never look the same again. But Al Pacino was not afraid of threats, and offered to shoot the Cubans if they interfere with his acting talent. But the State Tourism Board came to the defense of the Cubans, and did everything possible to ensure that the creators of the film Scarface received a refusal from the state authorities of Florida. This circumstance immediately increased the budget of the future film. And since Brian De Palma is famous for not being able to shoot films economically, the producer's expenses instantly increased several times. According to official data, the transformation of Los Angeles into Miami alone cost $25 million, which is even more than the budget of the film Star Wars that was released at the time. However, according to various unofficial data, the figure reaches $37 million, which is very respectable for those times. Nowadays, taking inflation into account, this would be more than $100 million. Such a large budget was influenced not only by the move from Miami to Los Angeles. The production of the film was stopped several times due to bad weather conditions. We had to stop for a week because Al Pacino was into shooting guns. He grabbed the gun by the places where he shouldn't have grabbed it, because of which he got severe burns, which sent him to the hospital, where he stayed for more than a week. Because of this, we had to stop filming the movie. Plus, because Brian De Palma wanted to film the explosions as effectively as possible, 2 stuntmen almost died at once. They put too much explosives under them. By the way, even Steven Spielberg, who was working nearby on the film Twilight Zone, came to blow up the stuntman. And when he arrived on the set, he asked to give him a camera. They say that he even filmed several episodes of the storming of the house at the end of the film. Quite often you can hear rumors that during the filming, the actor and director of the film sometimes used cocaine. Naturally, only in order to better get into character and understand what and how to show. But officially everyone denies this. However, Al Pacino once said in an interview that he actually doesn't know what it was, but after that, his nose didn't behave the same way. The actor says he doesn't know the reason, and even after filming the movie, he couldn't solve this problem. What's most surprising is that the movie Scarface didn't suffer during the post-production stage. More precisely, when the footage was brought to the studio, everyone was horrified, and the director was asked to cut a couple of episodes, so that the film would pass the ratings committee. However, he didn't do it, and because of the excessive violence in the frame, the ratings committee wanted to give the film the maximum age rating. At that time, it was an X rating. But Brian De Palma, who had been collecting material in police archives before filming the movie, was outraged by such a requirement and asked for help. The police department provided help, and they said after reviewing the rough draft of the movie, that everything shown in the movie fully reflects reality. After that, the indignation of the commission members changed to requests to at least slightly trim some episodes of the movie. Brian De Palma agreed, and after some time returned the film back to the commission, after which the commission gave the movie a regular age rating. Later, Brian De Palma will say that he only played with filters a little in some scenes of the movie, and the only scene that he shortened in the movie. This is the moment when Tony Montana's friend was killed in the scene with the chainsaw. Some believe that this episode was specially added to the movie so that the commission would react to it and not pay attention to other episodes. Hollywood directors often practice this. For example, Martin Scorsese has admitted more than once that he intentionally shoots some episode in his film as creepy and bloody as possible, so that it works as a red rag for the commission. After all, when they see some scary scene, they immediately forget about everything else, and they rush to the scariest thing in their opinion. The film Scarface was released in December 1983, and the film started off well, but it couldn't take first place because of Clint Eastwood with his film Sudden Impact. The next part of the Dirty Harry franchise was released on the same day and quickly took first place in the charts. John Carpenter, who decided to release a film on the same day as Al Pacino and Clint Eastwood, was completely unlucky. He and his Christine were only able to take fourth place. Although the film Scarface lost to Clint Eastwood, it still received a good $44 million at the American box office, which was quite good for those times. The world box office gave another $21 million. As a result, the total box office receipts of the film amounted to $65 million. For a budget of $25 million, this is quite good receipts. Therefore, when they talk about the box office failure of a film, they usually believe the rumors about the budget of $37 million. Therefore, if these rumors are true, then with standard deductions to theaters and marketing costs, the studio could really end up in the red. It is usually believed that the film's distribution was damaged by critics who attacked the film from all sides. Plus, many Hollywood figures stated in interviews that they did not like watching such a movie. But there were exceptions. For example, actor Eddie Murphy was delighted with the film Scarface, and he repeatedly stated that this is one of his favorite films. Plus the already mentioned Roger Ebert, who gave the film 4 points out of 5. So they, like many other critics, did not have to change their minds later. But not everyone changed their minds. The famous film critic Leonard Maltin gave the film a whole 1 point out of 5 immediately after the premiere. Many years later, he repeatedly returned to the film by Brian De Palma in his reviews, and he was surprised by its popularity, cursing stupid people who do not see what a bad movie this is. Today we can already say that the film Scarface had a huge impact on the entertainment industry. References to it can be found in many Hollywood films, TV series, and even computer games. Today it is a cult film that is still interesting to watch. Well, the fact that Brian De Palma received a nomination for a Golden Raspberry for it as the worst director is the funniest moment that is often recalled at the Golden Raspberry Awards. They justify themselves by saying that it was only the third Golden Raspberry Award, and there were too few voters. So the director, who was proposed by only a couple of people, could get into the nomination, and it turned out to be Brian De Palma. Well, everyone else was delighted with the film. Al Pacino completely agreed with the delight, and he has repeatedly stated that the role of Tony Montana is one of his favorites in his entire career. Well, on this positive note, we will end today. Don't forget to like and comment, and thanks for watching. Bye bye everyone.